The shooting victim tells me he's just grateful he was only grazed by a bullet and never even heard any of the gunshots. This is our effort in trying to pull back the curtain a little bit and show you the entire process from start to finish. Check out this hair salon. You can see that it's sort of leaning to the right. It's come off of its foundation. She said she's cleaned up a lot of things that fell on the floor, but check out these cracks. Look at this. We are in North Beach, a neighborhood known for its fine Italian food and, yes, pizza. And outside right now, according to our trusty temperature gauge, 88.7 degrees. But imagine being inside with those pizza ovens. Even with the rain, people are still packing in, not just here in the stands right here, but also look up here at the Macy's store. Almost every window has people inside trying to score a nice spot to see the entire parade. In this field here at Chabot Park, 600 goats are grazing, aiming to reduce fire fuel. What we're talking about now is major spot fires. We've seen 4 flare up in the last half hour, like this one behind me. Check it out. I'm told by CAL FIRE that's actually a strategy. They want to let some things burn and try to get rid of as much dry vegetation as possible.
A fun day up in the Berkeley Hills for a lot of folks. Brooks Jarosz reporting live. Up in the Berkeley Hills.
Yeah,
Brooks,
I got hit with a snowball.
That's what I thought it was. I couldn't tell.
Crowd out here.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm okay. It takes me back to my hometown in Ohio. You know, I'm used to this stuff, so I can take that.
Make yourself a snowball and get revenge.
Within the last 5 minutes, we saw Nancy Pelosi's motorcade show up here. 3 different vehicles went down a side street. She's about to be by her husband's side. You'll also find up and down the streets here barricades like this, as well as security guards. This is a story really about timing, because the family that lived in that yellow house there, they were home that morning, and minutes after they left, kaboom. One of the most surprising things I've heard from hospital staff is what they say is playing on Russian state television. Claims that the badly hurt children, the doctors, and the nurses are all actors. Far from the truth. When you flush, it may end up here, but that's just the beginning of collecting and testing waste to see what viruses are spreading in the community. They come in here, they pull a van up, they have these large bins and boxes that all the ballots are delivered in, and they're brought over here where they're sorted and also put in the right order. That's what these people over here are doing right now. Ex-employees tell me they were forced to fake dates, lie, or send out inaccurate results. Many of the parents I spoke with today said they don't want to send their kids back to school anytime soon. They're just worried that this could happen on any given day, and I think that's the feeling among a lot of people here today. It has been nearly 2 years since outrage over George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis. The actions of the officers there who didn't stop Derek Chauvin has sparked duty to intervene laws and policies across the country. As we found, communities are now calling for accountability if officers simply stand by. What started as a traffic stop led to a car chase.
South on 8th, approaching Ohio, no traffic.
Ending here on South 8th Street in Richmond back in 2018. The car was reported stolen, which came as a surprise to a group of friends in the back seat, says Ricardo Hernandez, who was one of them.
Do you feel that you did anything wrong that night?
No, I don't feel like I did anything wrong.
Slide out this side with your hands up.
He was the last one called out of the car.
Hands in the air, face away from us. Stop.
That's the voice of Richmond police officer Brandon Hodges, whose body camera video captured Contra Costa County Sheriff's deputies restraining Hernandez.
Stop resisting.
One of them put him in a sleeper hold.
He's out.
A warning what happens next is hard to watch.
Give me your hand.
Struck several times by a flashlight at the hands of Deputy Brandon Battles, who then pulled out his gun and pressed it to Hernandez's head. Deputies charged Hernandez with resisting arrest. That charge was later dropped.
There's no way to whitewash this. What Deputy Battles did was wrong and egregious. And the fact that no one, including officers from Richmond PD, did anything to stop him also shows that they're liable for this conduct.
Civil rights lawyers sued the law enforcement agencies, claiming excessive force and failing to intervene. Court records show Contra Costa County settled for $260,000, but the city of Richmond fought it.
From my perspective, they know what they did.
In this case, Hernandez and his attorney say Officer Hodges did nothing to stop excessive force. Department policy states an officer shall intercede to prevent the use of unreasonable force and report observations to a supervisor. In March, a jury ruled that didn't happen, and the officer's conduct caused Hernandez injury and harm.
Thanks to God, I'm still alive. He's the one he was there with me and protecting me, because in my perspective, I would have been dead.
All officers are trained that they have a federal constitutional duty to intervene when they are observing another officer using what they know to be excessive force.
Attorney Josh Parker with the Policing Project at New York University says strides have been made to revise use of force policies and strengthen requirements to intervene. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, at least 18 states, including California, now have laws on the books. Only time will tell if they have teeth.
It's vital that agencies follow the law and have this policy, but also that they adhere to it, consistently imposing serious discipline, including potentially terminating the employment of officers who fail to intervene when they're obliged to do so.
Still, research shows that's only part of the solution. Police culture, anti-retaliation, and training has to change too. Nonpartisan think tank Council on Criminal Justice found officers are more likely to step in when encouraged by a supervisor, seeing fellow officers intervening in similar cases, or witnessing peers rewarded for stopping unnecessary force.
Give me your hand!
Calling into question incidents like this, hard for Hernandez to watch even now. Jurors clear in their view, Officer Hodges should have done something.
I did tell him that I forgive him for not intervening. I told him that I forgive him.
But retired police officer and longtime law enforcement trainer Don Cameron says Hodges didn't have the knowledge or enough time to act.
Without all the facts of what's going on, and you've got a lot of officers, you've got the guy obviously fighting, don't know whether he's armed or not, would I want to step in and say, hey, stop that and pull the guy away, and then have the guy come up with a gun and shoot both of us? Just something that you can't do, and you can't second guess what's going on, I don't think.
The city of Richmond would not provide an interview and said it could not comment. But court documents argue Officer Hodges is entitled to qualified immunity, giving him breathing room to make reasonable but mistaken judgments, and saying he wasn't aware of a need to intervene or didn't have a realistic opportunity to do so.
You see them at the end of the video, they're just nonchalant about everything.
What's up, man? How are you?
It's another day at the office, and that's the thing. This jury sent out a message. It's no longer another day at the office.
The jury wants to award Hernandez more than $500,000 in total damages for the harm caused by Hodges' conduct. The judge still has to make a decision on a judgment. The officer's attorney did not provide any comment, neither did the Richmond Police Officers Association. Things have really calmed down significantly over the last several hours. The heavy machinery and the workers who were here have moved out, as well as all of the police that were here earlier, dozens and dozens of them. Since then, we've seen several protesters that have pushed down fences, removed the barricades, and also vandalized parts of the park. And they are demanding and vowing that they will save People's Park. For hours, tension was building, all while crews were cutting and trees were falling. Notice had been given. People needed to leave People's Park in Berkeley, but not everyone listened. Some even blocked heavy equipment from getting in.
I think that it's really unjust what the university is doing, trying to build housing here, but at the cost of moving out all of these residents.
UC Berkeley plans to build more than 1,000 housing units here. Police moved in overnight to clear the park and close it off so work could start. But before midday, backup was called in, and soon a standoff between police and protesters.
I think obviously tensions are high today, and I fully believe folks should be able to exercise their First Amendment rights to come out here and protest this decision.
Still, several in the group tried to breach the fence. Then things got physical. shoving, skirmishes, and scuffles, leaving some hurt, like this woman.
But yeah, I was trying to get a medic. They sent me to the medic, and then they just pushed me down to the ground.
The blood, sweat, and tears, she says, reflects the historical significance of People's Park, a place for protests over the Vietnam War and the civil rights movement.
Our hearts are breaking right now. People have lost their lives defending this park, and what's happening today is wrong. This is wrong.
Despite a couple of holdouts, 100 people have already been moved and provided transitional housing. And amid a legal battle, an Alameda County judge gave the okay for UC Berkeley to move forward with construction.
We have an urgent student housing crisis at this university. We provide fewer beds for students than any of the UC campuses. And we want this dorm to be open and ready to roll 2 years from now. That is a tight construction schedule for a building of this size. So as soon as we got the green light from the court, we were going to be ready to roll.
While the university says 60% of the park will remain green space, the plan has been met with harsh resistance, an ongoing struggle to accept change, knowing what was is no more. It's time to test the Tesla and its full self-driving capability. Behind the wheel, Wilmer Awayan, co-founder of Tesla Owners East Bay.
If I do it twice, the steering wheel turns blue, meaning now it's driving on its own.
While other makes use lasers or radar for autopilot, Tesla relies solely on its advanced cameras to do the work.
So if I want to change lanes to the left, I'll just turn on the signal. It looks already, you can tell there's no cars behind it, and it did it.
But the full self-driving system is under scrutiny, including investigations by the federal government. On Thanksgiving Day, a Tesla driver caused a multi-car crash on the Bay Bridge. Surveillance video shows the Model S changing lanes and coming to an abrupt stop, then an 8-car pileup. No one was seriously hurt, and the driver told investigators he was in full self-driving mode.
I feel the person wasn't being attentive.
We set out to see what happens in a similar scenario. While we're in a Model 3, the self-driving software is the same.
So we are in full self-driving mode right now. It's back enabled again. So I'm holding the wheel. It hasn't asked me to do anything. We're going 50 miles an hour.
Approaching the Bay Bridge Tunnel in the same lane, then rolling by the same spot with roughly the same amount of traffic. Everything appears okay.
Everything's great. Yeah, it's actually asking me to change lanes to go a little faster, so I'm gonna let it do it. It changed lanes.
No problem.
We're still going speed limit.
No issues. Full self-driving here was a success, raising questions about what caused that crash.
The driver was not responsive. That's the one thing that's really obvious.
Eric Tingwall is testing director at Motor Trend. He says despite the name, self-driving requires an attentive driver ready to take over.
We are still years, if not decades away from that true self-driving ideal where somebody could sleep in the driver's seat or not even be in the driver's seat at all.
Tesla drivers have reported an issue with phantom braking, where the car suddenly starts to stop, or other cases where the Tesla senses a threat that's not actually there.
It fails routinely in everyday basic situations that human drivers can safely negotiate.
Underscoring the need to keep your eyes on the road and hands on the wheel.
And it should give us a warning in a few seconds.
Tesla's FSD will tell you to pay attention.
There you go. Apply slight turning force to wheel and it starts blinking.
But if you don't and the warnings are ignored.
There you go. It's counting down to disable the autopilot. Right there. See, I'm slowing down right now.
We found the shutdown happened quickly, too quickly for comfort.
I've taken over because we're going too slow. So I've never done that before, but feeling that could have been the condition that they were going through.
Proof an unresponsive driver can be a danger, and that Tesla's technology is still intelligence in progress.
Oh no, it's not perfect. It cannot replace the driver right now. No way.
Brooks Jarosz, KTVU, Fox 2 News.